China is pumping out videos claiming that all of the world's luxury goods come out of China. They're going viral, and it's not an accident. Welcome to China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. There's a new video trend on social media coming out of China in response to US President Donald Trump's tariffs, and it's everywhere.
Who are the suppliers behind Lululemon?
Did you know who actually manufactures for Sephora? Let me reveal the key Chinese suppliers for you.
Who are the suppliers behind Solomon, Timberland, New Balance, Adidas, Nike, la 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 la. First, Baocheng Factory, one of the world's largest OEM sports shoe manufacturers.
For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it.
These videos claim to offer information on the Chinese suppliers behind many of the world's top luxury brands, and some of them even go beyond that.
Lululemon sells this jacket for nearly $100, but here only costs you $6 to $5 with similar fabric and quality. If you want to get in touch with suitable sportswear suppliers, contact with me. I'm Rosie from Yiwu, China.
These videos are careful not to outright say it, but many imply strongly that they are selling not cheap Chinese knockoff brands, as are found on Alibaba or Temu, but the real thing from the real original factory, maybe minus the label.
But why Hermès will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us.
For example, take this video. It claims to explain the real cost of an Hermès Birkin bag, although it's very careful to never actually say that their bags are actual Hermès bags.
This Birkin bag at Hermès boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory?
But Hermès bags aren't made in a factory. They're made in a workshop in France. Meanwhile, the claim that Hermès bags cost $38,000 at a boutique is an outright lie. They cost a mere $12,000. In addition, there's the matter of craftsmanship. This guy claims that his factory uses all the same materials as the makers of genuine Hermès bags.
Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil.
But even if we assume for one crazy moment that that's true, it doesn't account for how the bags are made, including, according to one knowledgeable netizen, special stitching that cannot be reproduced by mechanization, which is why they come from a workshop in France instead of a factory in China. A lot of people online saw this video and believed that this man was selling official Hermès bags that would have been made in a factory in China, sent to France, slapped with a Made in France label and an Hermès logo, and then shipped to the US for sale. There's a reason they think that, because the video that went the most viral of all was this one.
Have y'all seen that TikTok by the Chinese guy exposing how luxury goods are actually made? Basically, he says most of the luxury brands we use every day are actually made in China, then shipped to Europe just to get rebranded and sold back to us at insane prices.
That's not what he said. In fact, that's not what any of these videos coming out of China are saying. And there's a reason for that. It would make them look terrible. As the Fashion Network pointed out, the videos raise important questions about confidentiality, specifically whether the featured factories have non-disclosure agreements with their international clients and how this public exposure could impact long-standing relationships between global brands and their manufacturers. Duh! Any factory in China that claimed to sell actual name brand goods while undercutting their employer would be instantly left unemployed and most likely unemployable forever. So what is the point with these videos? It's probably not to sell inventory, since all of the products in these videos would be just as subject to tariffs as any other product coming out of China. It seems to have something to do with Trump's tariffs. Many of them were posted back in March after the first wave of tariffs on Chinese exports hit. And as the tariffs have increased, the popularity of these videos has also skyrocketed, likely due to Chinese bot manipulation and the algorithms that are about as organic as a Twinkie. And they're working exactly as intended. Because the goal isn't to get Americans to buy these products directly from China. It's standard CCP psychological warfare. The goal is to make Americans feel ripped off by companies and shafted by their leaders.
Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs ship your job to China, not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit.
It's also intended to make Americans feel reliant on China.
Now, as the USA and its little European brothers are trying to refuse Chinese goods, don't you think luxury brands are not trying to move their OEM out of China? Yes, they did, but they failed. Because the OEM factories out of China, they don't have good quality control, and they don't have as good craftsmanship.
Did he just say that Chinese craftsmanship is better? Can I get that in writing?
3, they don't have any supply chain. They always have trouble getting leather or zippers or any accessories.
Meanwhile, China is the good guy that takes care of its people.
And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people.
Unfortunately, there are plenty of influencers around the world being completely taken in by this schlock.
They failed because they don't have the supply chain capabilities that China has, because they don't have the trade capabilities that China has, and also their artisans are not as good.
They're even claiming that Trump hats are made in China.
So what are you really worried about? Come on, your MAGA hat? That's made in China too.
No. Official Trump hats are union made in the US. These videos aren't just randomly going viral either. The CCP knows how to manipulate the algorithms on American social media sites with bots and paid shills. And ByteDance, which is closely tied to the CCP, still owns TikTok. Shut it down, Mr. President, please. TikTok also refused to comment on the story. Imagine that. But for many US citizens, what is being critiqued in these videos is nothing new. A lot of people already knew about the slave labor in sweatshops, the poor quality of many of these goods, and that they were being ripped off. In fact, President Trump campaigned on this issue twice. As this ex-user pointed out, videos like these only show that maybe we can manufacture these products in the US with living wages, and the companies will still make a profit. At the end of the day, cheap labor isn't the main issue here. The CCP, for its own benefit, has manipulated the world's free trade system for decades. We did a video on that described it in detail, link below. Now, China's unfair trade practices are being challenged, and their algorithm-pushing propaganda strategy has as many holes in it as a cheap knockoff made in China. But this isn't the only psychological warfare propaganda tactic the CCP is using to warp your mind. Another one is that China is based. They don't make woke crap like companies in the West. I did a full episode on that exclusively on the China Uncensored website, ChinaUncensored.tv. Click here to check it out. Your support on the website is what makes China Uncensored possible. And by subscribing to the website, you'll also get exclusive episodes like this, live streams, and more. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.